Hello, my name is Leonardo Ortiz, and this is an in-depth look at the indie game FTL, which is created by the studio Subset Games. The game is a 2D top-down tactical space combat and exploration game. Though the game in physical size is about 300 megabytes, it is very complex. So in order for me to avoid making a 30-minute long video, I will boil down the structure of the game to its bare bones. The basic premise of the game is that you are a space captain on a mission to deliver vital information to a friendly fleet, while an enemy fleet is in constant pursuit of you throughout the game. You journey across a number of sectors, and these sectors are basically maps that contain stars. Get to the end of the map, and you can journey to the next sector. As you can see, this is the enemy fleet, and those red dots are basically the potential kill zone that you can be in, which can put you in a situation where your ship can be overwhelmed by the fleet itself. Now, at the end of all these sectors is the main boss that you will face. The main boss is basically the rebel flagship, and you have to prepare for this throughout your journey. The main mechanics of the game can be boiled down to a point-and-click management system. The player manages an interstellar starship and crew. The crew operates the systems within the ship, and these systems in their own right can be very interlockingly complex. The smaller interlocking mechanics within this game are almost entirely up to the player's discretion as to what structure those gears can be arranged. The game itself heavily relies on the players to upgrade their ship with scrap. Now, scrap can be found throughout various sources through the player's journey through the game, but the player needs to be tactical and conservative with their management of scrap. They can afford to upgrade and go down certain paths of upgrades with their ship. Sometimes they will not be able to afford certain upgrades by the end encounter of the game, so they will need to be very, very tactical and choose upgrades entirely up to their perspective on their current situation. Which now leads me into the dynamics of the game, where these interlocking mechanics that the player builds over the course of the game are used to react to certain scenarios. Some of these scenarios are dialogue options, where the player can use certain upgrades or crew members, which are of different races, to solve these scenarios and potentially gain certain upgrades or even more scrap. Though, if you choose the wrong option, there are always consequences, which the player ends up having to deal with, and these detrimental outcome results from the player's choices. Though most of the time the player will have to fight a ship on their journey, whether it be the enemy ship or a ship that they end up choosing the wrong dialogue options and ends up getting angry at them. The enemy ship will have a randomized version of the player's systems. The player will have to deal with the ship in combat. Now, ship combat itself is quite basic. The player clicks on the weapons and directs the weapons to fire on whatever other rooms or subsystems of the other enemy ship they want. Now, this is where it gets interesting. It's the management aspect of the game that is truly engaging. Going over the aesthetics, when playing the game, I found myself constantly challenged. I was always thinking about what action to take in a dialogue option or direct combat. What would benefit me in the long run? And this management, basically, mindset is what truly engages you into the game, and is what's truly challenging about the game. It can be best described as like a long game of chess, where the overall strategy is how are you going to take down this big boss, and how are you going to be ready by the end of the game, and how will you react to the ever-changing situations along your journey. Overall, this game is a strategy game at its core, and that's no surprise given that the lead development focus is on creating strategy games. Some interviews that I watched of the people who worked on the game stated multiple times that FTL was a structurally simple game to play, yet had a long and complex development process. But anyway, the game was enjoyable. I played it when it released years ago, and after coming back to it, it still holds up. I even enjoyed it even more because they released a large content patch with new weapons, new dialogue options, new different scenarios, and new ships. Overall, it's a good game, and that's basically it.